Hi, this is David McCann for WebTNG. In this video, I'm taking a look at Nexter Blocks Pro and the Nexter ecosystem. You may wonder what I mean by Nexter ecosystem. Well, when you buy Nexter Blocks Pro, you get a whole toolkit. And the long and short of it is that there's so much to the toolkit and there's so many features that it's worth a video by itself just to get an overview of what's included. So this isn't going to be an in-depth tutorial on how to build a site with Nexter. I will use the theme builder a bit just to show how the different parts work together, but I'll be doing another video going more in depth on Nexter Blocks Pro and on using that to create templates for a custom post type and looking at some of the special features of Nexter Blocks. Now, this is Nexter in the WordPress plugin directory. There's a free version. You can see that it's got more than 7,000 active installs, and it's got a good number of 5 stars, and there are no open support issues. If you just looked at this page in the WordPress plugin directory, you wouldn't get a very good picture of what Nexter brings to the table. This is the Nexter website, and I want to show you kind of an interesting thing about it. If you go to products, you see they have Nexter blocks, they have Nexter extension, and they have Nexter theme. Let's go to Nexter blocks and let's click on the pricing link. You see they have one site for $49 a year, unlimited sites for $149 a year, and lifetime unlimited for $249 a year, which isn't too bad a price. Okay, but what I wanted to show you is you look at what's included and you see here's Nexter blocks. You see there are a bunch of templates. You see there's Nexter extension and there's Nexter theme. Now if we go to Nexter extension and we go to get Nexter extension, whoa, it's the same thing, okay? Also repeats if you go look at Nexter theme. Okay, so my point being that those are 3 parts of the toolkit. There's blocks, there's the extension, there's the theme, and it mentions the templates. And this is the 4th part of the toolkit, is the templates. And if you look, there's a product that the team has called WDesignKit. That's included with Nexter Blocks Pro, and that has templates for Elementor. The company also makes Plus blocks for Elementor. Pretty popular Elementor add-on. It says 900 plus Gutenberg templates. They also have a product for bringing Figma templates into Elementor, and they have a bunch of Figma templates, and then they're working on Bricks templates. There are widgets for these, and they have a widget builder. Okay, so you can build widgets for Elementor, Gutenberg, Bricks. Okay, and they have a library of widgets that are already made. Then there's Cloud, where you can save your widgets and templates. Okay, they have documentation and other resources. And you can, I think, buy the WDesignKit by itself. Yeah, so you can buy it by itself, but it comes with Nexter blocks. One other thing I can show you here is if we look at the documentation, they have pretty extensive documentation. 34 articles, 48 articles, Nexter blocks, 300 articles. Okay, some of them have videos, some of them don't. As we're walking through and using some of the features, I'll point out the link to documentation. So it's pretty well documented. This is a website I've set up for testing. This is the 2025 theme. If we go to plugins, I've got ACF Pro installed and I created a custom post type called Team. We're not really going to use that in this video. I'll use it in some of the other ones. But here's Nexter Blocks Pro. The Nexter extension, the Pro version of that, and the WDesignKit. Okay, so I've enabled all these and I put my license key in for them so that we wouldn't have to do that during the video, but I haven't really set any of them up. So now let's go look at the themes. Nexter has a classic theme called Nexter, and they have a full site editing theme. Both of these are free in the WordPress theme directory. If we activate this and look at the menus, the other thing I wanted to show you is I did create a menu, a main menu. So here we are, the default now that we've enabled the Nexter theme. All right, so let's go now and do a tour of the features. And I want to start with the Nexter extension. The first time I looked at Nexter some years ago, when I saw Nexter extension, I thought that this was the pro version of the theme. You know how you have like Cadence Theme and Cadence Theme Pro comes as a plugin. And the same with Astra and other classic themes. But that's a mistake. It's not a pro version of the theme. The Nexter extension is a huge toolkit on its own. And let's look at some of the things that it has. More than 50 features. First, it gives you a theme builder. You know, we can create the header footer, 404 page, you know, our singles and archives and all the things you normally do in a theme builder. If we go there, this will look pretty familiar if you've used Elementor. We'll come back to this in a few minutes. Then there is a code snippets feature. And if we go look at that, you see you can create PHP snippets, HTML snippets, CSS snippets, and JavaScript snippets. They have some samples here. They're disabled. If we look at one, you can see, you know, you give it a title, you can activate it or deactivate it, select the snippet type, you put your code in, you choose where you want it to run, and you can give it some tags and a description. This might not have quite as many features as a dedicated plugin, but for a lot of use cases, this is probably good. If we go back now and continue looking at the Nexter extension features, here's a utilities menu. You can enable and load Adobe fonts, I guess put in your license key. You can do a search and replace for your URL if you've moved from development to production. Regenerate thumbnails. You can set content order. And this is the thing I was talking about where you have help here, but you also have read docs under every single item. Okay, then custom avatar, redirect 404, custom fonts. Okay, so this is a classic theme, so you can set your custom fonts to be loaded from the site and not from Google. You can enable duplicating posts, replace media. Sometimes when you upload an updated image file that has the same name of one that's already been uploaded, you get the cached version, you don't see the new one. Disable Gutenberg, public preview for drafts. This is a nice feature. You can let an editor or someone give them a link so they can review a draft before it's published. and a rollback manager, so you can roll back the version. Then there is performance. If we look at that, you can disable emojis, disable dash icons, remove the Windows Live Writer link, disable RSS feeds, disable pingbacks, defer JavaScript and CSS, disable embeds, remove the RSD link, the discovery, remove short link, remove RSS feed link, disable password strength meter, and turn on infinite scrolling for the media library. You can disable comments, you can register custom image sizes, you can modify the heartbeat control for WordPress, you can work with Google Fonts, you can disable image sizes and control revisions. Under security, same kind of thing. We have a whole bunch of features. There's disable XML RPC, remove REST API links, remove meta generator, disable the REST API, secure cookies, registration time and date so you know when a user was registered, hide author URLs from search engines, hide WordPress version, disable the file editor, cross-site scripting protection, iframe security, record and show the last date and time of login, and hide the email from spam bots. You can have a custom login URL. This doesn't make the site necessarily more secure, but a lot of bots just go to the default login page. So if you've changed the URL, then you might get less churn. There's two-factor authentication. There's login email notifications so you know when an admin has logged in, CAPTCHA, SVG upload, and content protection. Then in the admin interface, there's disable admin settings, wider admin menu, user profile clean if you have some old fields there in the user profile, clean up the admin bar, display active plugins first, and brand the WP admin. There's a theme customizer. That's going to take us to the Nexter theme customizer. And there are extra options. You can roll back, you can white label, and then it's telling you about their other products. And this is where you enter the license key. The takeaway from here, though, is that the Nexter extension has a theme builder, and then it has a ton of utility and helper and security features. So it's kind of like admin site enhancements or WP extended. It's a toolkit of features where maybe you might have to install a plugin for some of these individual features, but because you have the Nexter extension active, you can avoid installing a bunch of plugins. That is the Nexter extension. I want to look next at the customizer. This Nexter theme is not as exciting or full-featured as Cadence or Astra or Bloxy. Because it comes with this theme builder, I think the idea is most of the customizations you're going to do in the theme builder by creating your own custom version of the header, footer, and templates. Okay, but there are some features here. There is a place where you can set the container widths. You can disable the header, disable the footer, sidebar options where you want to show a sidebar. There's some options for the body style and for the body frame. I think that's maybe this kind of thing. Then selection text color. That's this, which is kind of cool. Okay, then you can enable maintenance mode while you're working on and building your site. So that's another feature of the theme. Then Their site identity, that is the default core feature. There's styling colors for body and your headings. There is typography options. Okay. Then you can disable the feature image for pages. You can enable or disable settings for the single blog for the post page. This is the one that has the most options of all of these. Okay. Then there are menus, widgets, homepage settings, and additional CSS. These are all standard WordPress customizer features. All right, so let's exit the customizer. That's kind of a look there real quick at the theme. Next, let's look at WDesignKit. Okay, we're going to come back to this in a few minutes, but just as kind of an overview, there are page kits. This is where you have a number of pages together. So you can have kind of some pre-designed pages across common pages like About or Contact or Homepage, things like that. Okay, then you have sections and filter by free or pro, by which plugins are included. These are the page kits that they have. There are tags here, and if you click sections, then there are different categories of sections also. All right. That is this quick look here. We will be back into WDesignKit in a few minutes. These are then the Nextdoor blocks. There's a list of all the blocks here. I think there's maybe like 90 blocks or something. There's a huge number. I'm just going to turn them all on and save that. Okay, they're in categories. The free ones come from WordPress.org, from the plugin directory. They're freemium ones, which are included in the free version, but when you have Pro installed, there are more features. And then there are the Pro blocks. Okay, and so they have them in categories, essential, creative, tabbed, social, advanced, listing, builder, extras, and WDesignKit. Okay, so these are widgets that when you have the WDesignKit installed, you have extra blocks from that you can add. Huge number of blocks, just tons. Okay, this takes you to WDesignKit. This now you have settings for your integrations. You can disable Google Fonts, which is a nice idea. If you've uploaded to your site some fonts, set those up, then make sure you don't accidentally pick some Google Fonts when you're in the editor. Show Nextdoor performance in the admin bar. Let's turn that on, see if we see anything. Enable global CSS. Okay, load Font Awesome Pro icons. Enable Ajax templates. Disable dash icons, lazy rendering, MailChimp, Google reCAPTCHA settings, and add event tracking ID, performance options, loading your assets on demand or smart optimized, delaying third-party JavaScript and CSS and JS, regenerating your style sheets, custom CSS and JS, rollback plugin to other version. So it's kind of nice to have. You can white label. This takes you to the theme builder, the Nextdoor extension theme builder. Shows you more products. You can enter your license key. Huge number of features, again, with the blocks. That's a look here at what we see in the admin menus. Let's go and add a page. We'll just call this About Us. Okay, I'm going to save it. And let's look here in the editor at what Nexter features there are here. This is a Nexter icon. So it says Nexter Customizer. It says global presets. You can think of this as global styles. You have 2 sets. You can add another set if you want to. You can rename, set up for dark mode, duplicate. Okay, but here's a place where you see the global styles. You have your colors. You can add colors. You have your typography options. Like we can look at what we have here for typography options. And there are spacing options. You can have presets for spacing, your presets for box shadows, and for gradient colors. You can set those up as well. There's some extra settings here. You can set the container width. That's kind of your global style area. This is a link then into WDesignKit if you want to bring in some templates. We'll do that in a moment. Here's where you can paste. If you've copied maybe one of their sections or something, you can paste that in here. Then here is the list of blocks. Huge list. There's, as you would expect, container. And then for many of the features, they have a simple version and an advanced version. So they might have, for example, a button block and a pro buttons block. Or they might have a heading block and then an advanced heading block. There can be some fancy stuff here. If we go down, not going to go through all of them, but like here's one, circle menu, draw SVG, animated heading, post author, post content, pop-up builder. All right, you get the idea. A huge number of blocks here. All right, so let's close that. Let's try out this WDesignKit. And let's go to Pro, full page, and Nexter blocks being used. And then About, this was an About page. And let's bring this one in. So it's importing that now. Sometimes when they import, it looks like they import in like 3 to 5 seconds, and sometimes it takes like 20 or 30 seconds. That could be my internet or something, I'm not sure. I've got an empty paragraph there, let's delete that. Okay, so here is the About Us page that it brought in for us. Let's go just look at it on the front end. Okay, so that's an example. Of course, naturally you would customize this and add your own images and content, but you can see how it works. Here is the Nexter paragraph block, for instance. I wanted to show you a few features of their blocks. They have an option. You can customize one of their blocks and then save it in WDesignKit in the cloud, and then use that, pull it down to use it on other sites. So you can build up your own design library. There are some limits. They give you so many credits to use for storage space. So there are some limits, but it seems like there's pretty generous. Okay, and then there's copy style also. Okay, then over on the block settings, all the blocks have 3 tabs. The layout tab may be kind of different depending on the block, but you see like here, For the paragraph, it's got your content with the option for dynamic data. As you've probably seen in other tools, this database icon is kind of your link to bring in dynamic data. You can set alignment, number of columns, the column gap, drop cap, customize the title. You see the little green dot telling you where settings have been made. Then there's style. You have typography, text color, link color, title options, extra options, and help. And then these in the advanced are pretty standard across all the blocks, I think. This block global styles, you can, as I said before, you can customize a block and then you can actually just save it as, you can add a style and save it. You don't have to upload it to cloud, but when you create your own preset, then you can pick it from the list here. Then margin and padding, background, color, gradient, border and box shadow, on scroll animations, next are extras, magic scroll tooltip, continuous animation, content hover effect, mouse parallax, 3D tilt, advanced border radius, events tracking. And then there are display rules. So let's take a look at the type of rules they have. There's login status, user role, operating system, browser, current date, time of day, day of week, page, post, static page, post type term. Okay, you can't see the list here. It goes below the page, but on my screen I can see it. There's taxonomy, post type archive, date archive, author archive term, and then your ACF field. So you can also set display conditions by ACF field value. Those are display conditions. There's some position options for z-index and I think absolute positioning. Responsive to hide by device size. Custom classes. Custom ID. You can enter custom CSS here, and they have a selector that you can use. Okay, and so that gives you an idea of the features in the block options for the Nextdoor blocks. If we look at the front end, you notice there's a little problem here. Okay, this is wrapping, and so that'll give us an excuse, I guess, to go into the theme builder and see if we can create a header here. So let's go and we'll go to theme builder and we'll add a new template and it will be a header and we'll give it a name, site header, and additional settings. There's type, normal, sticky. We don't need any of those. We'll just go with site header. You can have a transparent header. Next, include in entire website and create. All right, so here we are again. When you're in the theme builder, the template you're working on, the title shows here. It doesn't show on the front end. Okay, I'm going to go now back to WDesignKit and get maybe a head start here. Let's go to sections and let's do headers. Let's take this one here. We'll import it. See how fast that one was. All right, get rid of that extra paragraph. And I've uploaded a demo placeholder logo, and we'll set the width of that, make it a little bigger. Let's go to the menu and use that WordPress menu that we created. Let's look at the structure here. Don't need this advanced button. On the menu again, let's have it aligned to the right. Let's see, let's go to the container and the border box shadow. Let's do a border, and we'll use this purple color. And then for the border width, we'll do 4 pixels at the top and 2 at the bottom. Let's save. And now let's go check the front end. We created a custom header there pretty easily. One last thing we can try here. Let's go back to the theme builder and let's create an archive. Okay, and we'll call it blog archive, and it will be an archive for default posts archive. So let's create that. Okay, let's try this time looking and seeing if there's maybe some post content, post listing that looks good. Let's see what we have here. See if we can change that color for content background. And then we'll need the hover color for the post title. Okay, it's kind of subtle, but there it is. All right, let's save that. Go to the home page. All right, so you're not going to win any design awards, but what I wanted to do was create a page quickly with Nexter blocks. This has a lot of images on it, right? It's the post archive. Now I'm going to grab the URL. All right, we're going to go to GTmetrix. I'm going to put in the URL and we'll test. All right, so it gives it an A overall, 100% on performance, 97% on structure. There was a little bit of a contentful paint, no blocking time, no layout shift. All right, so not bad considering that we didn't apply any optimizations and we didn't turn on any of the optimization performance options that are available in the Nexter extension. We could have maybe improved this a little bit if we had done that. Just wanted to make the point, though, that the Nexter team has put a lot of attention on performance. I think what we've looked at so far gives you a high-level overview of what comes with Nexter blocks. As I said, I will be doing a further video. For right now, let's conclude the tour and looking at features and move on to a little bit of discussion. Let's discuss the Nexter ecosystem, its history, pros and cons. I made a video 3 years ago looking at the pro version of Nexter blocks. Back then it was called the Plus blocks. At that time, there were just a couple hundred active installs. What I found when I did the video back then was that although there was some support for dynamic data, it wasn't very extensive, and some parts of the toolkit really didn't work all that well at that point. It was pretty new. What they've done since then is that they totally rewrote Nexter blocks from the ground up with an eye to performance. And they've expanded and filled out the toolkit so that now it's becoming a more mature solution. Today, the Nexter ecosystem has some extensive components. The Nexter extension includes the theme builder, code snippets feature, and a very large number of useful utilities and enhancements. The WDesignKit not only has pre-designed templates, but also blocks, a builder, and cloud storage. In terms of the Pro Blocks plugin, there are a large number of blocks and even more tools. But note that I haven't yet done a full assessment of the block collection. I want to do another video where I have a chance to look further at the dynamic data features and options for creating archives. Of all the items in the ecosystem, the customizer option of the Nexter theme itself are pretty simple when you compare them to the top general purpose themes. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, the idea is probably that users customize the layouts using the theme builder. These days, we've seen the rise of featureful plugins that host a large number of utilities. We've also seen the rise of code snippets plugins. The Nexter extension offers both options. These types of all-in-one solutions are popular because they cut down on the number of plugins that users need to install and in some ways simplify matters. One plugin, one vendor, lots of features. There is a trade-off, however, when using an all-in-one solution. Well-crafted single-purpose plugins are more likely to be best in class, while with an all-in-one solution, you sometimes end up with a large number of features that are good enough. It's up to the site builder to determine their needs according to their preferences, goals, and project requirements. The Nexter ecosystem will appeal to site builders who want this type of all-in-one solution, and the pricing is attractive. Before completing the video, the Nexter team deserves a mention. They solicit user feedback, listen to it, and regularly release updates. Support is responsive and helpful. So this has been my look at the Nexter Blocks ecosystem. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.